I'm going to create a content page, and then Tina's going to explain the activity for you to create your own. So if I want to go and create a regular page and use my slideshow, I'm going to go to Create Content. We'll select Page. And right away, you notice these buttons across the side. Some of them are the same buttons, and then there's a couple extra ones. This multi-body button, I just want to give you a visual of what that is. We have a web page, the Web 1 FAQs. A multi-body is also an accordion. If you use other web terms, it's an accordion style page. So the multi-body allows you to create headings where then you can expand and have additional information. So if this was all one web page, it would be quite lengthy. So you can choose when to use the accordion style to make your pages shorter. So if you finish up your activity quickly, you can go ahead and create the accordion style. But the title, you want to add the title. This displays on the web page itself. So on our group landing page for IT, the title is Information Technology, and that is displayed on the page. So I will title my page and then we'll put in some text for the body. Now this is a WYSIWYG editor. You can adjust the size by just dragging. Are you guys going to be doing a lot of copying and pasting of current site content? Or are you reinventing your content, rewriting? What do you think? Both? Okay. Yeah, because the majority of the people that have gone through the class are going to be doing a lot of copying and pasting. So I'm just going to go and grab some content from one of our web pages. The security has some good content here. So all you do is copy and paste. And the buttons here you see in the WYSIWYG are Microsoft Office familiar buttons. So I don't need to go and explain each button. If you hover over them, it'll tell you what that button is. Something important here, though, is on the drop-down, there's a couple of different modes, I guess you could say, that are available for you. So we have the WYSIWYG, which stands for what you see is what you get, or the filtered HTML. So I grabbed text that had a break in it. So when we go to display that web page, the text is just going to go halfway across the page. So you can go into the filtered HTML mode and remove those breaks so that it goes all the way across the page. That's a good reason to change from WYSIWYG to filtered HTML. Sometimes there's code behind there that you don't see. A trick that we learned yesterday is that one department has their students copy and paste information from pages into a plain text editor, and it will remove all of these characters or code. And then they'll copy and paste that same content, and none of that will display. So that's maybe a shortcut to going in and manually deleting all of this. Also, it's choosy on what kind of HTML it accepts. You can't put in JavaScript. Really, the only tags that you can use are listed right here. So it's not going to allow you to put pink text that blinks or anything like that. It's very simple. Okay? I'm going to change back to the WYSIWYG mode. The only button that might not be familiar because it's not a Microsoft Office type button is this button right here that says Insert Predefined Template Content. And if you turn to page 80 in your guide, you can do basic formatting with our WYSIWYG. And starting on page 80, it will kind of give you a breakdown of what the WYSIWYG is and what it can do. And if you turn to page 82, this button is really explained. So you have the option to do a little bit of text enhancement, and the three options that this button contains is a drop cap that you see in the figure at the very bottom of the page. That L, that's a drop cap, so if you want to put in that, you would just click that button. And then you can do a pull quote, which is what you see in gray if you want to highlight a quote or something. And then a call to action button. So you could do a hyperlink from a button like that. So I'll just click that and show you what it looks like. There's your three options to add those three different formatting tools. Okay? Now, the button next to it is the Add Media button. So there is something to learn from here. I'm going to go ahead and add in an image that is also pre-sized. We'll add in a kitten and click Upload. Then Submit. All right, I do need to put my alternate text for this image as well. It looks very similar, if not the same, to the slideshow window. And once I click Save, I will say that if you try to use this drop down, it's not going to do much for you. So I'll show you a different way to kind of position and I wouldn't even say edit at this point, but position your photo. So from here, I'm going to leave it as it is and then click Submit. Oh, why is that broken? Let me reinsert a new image and see why. I don't know why that would be a broken image. This didn't happen yet in yesterday's class, so there might be something that they changed for our images. That's not good. Let me just try something from, so you notice there's other options across the top here. My files is going to be all those files that you upload. I'm just going to try pulling something from the group library to see if that makes any difference. Because this is different than yesterday. It was working perfect. Oh, that's different. Okay, so something about my images it doesn't like. Okay, so I got an image to display here. If you click the image and you go to Insert Edit Image, people were asking yesterday, can I wrap text? Can I align it? So you go to the little tree icon, Insert Edit Image, and the Appearance tab, and this will give you an idea of how you can position some of your images. It doesn't allow you to really edit the photo and size it, but that's how you're going to reposition your images, by selecting one of those. Limited features in terms of editing, but we have it on the list to be included in hopefully an enhancement for the future. Something to be added into the WYSIWYG that allows people to edit their images a little bit better. So I'll just go and we'll choose middle. Update. All right, so once you have a little bit of content in the body of your web page, you just want to make sure you go down the left-hand side of each content page. Miscellaneous this is where my slideshows show up. So if you decide that you want a slideshow or a static banner image, you can select here. Remember, since I published my slideshow, it's now an option for users to use. So I'll go ahead and select Animal Slideshow. Groups by default is going to be your group name. Multi-body, this is where you can plug in a heading, and then upon expanding you can put more information. So I'll just do something quick here. Okay. If you want to do more than one heading to expand, you just go to the Add Another Item, and it will do that. Menu settings is something that we don't use in Web 1, so you can kind of ignore this tab. Revision information, we saw this in the slideshow. Once I save, the option for published will display. URL path settings. Okay, this is one to really mention to end users. So the way that Web 1 is I mentioned there's no directories and folders to organize information. So when you create a web page, depending on what your group name is, so we're in IT, you're going to have csun.edu/your group name / whatever the title of the web page is. So my URL, once I save this and publish it, is going to say something like /IT/ csun-farm-animals. And if you want a better, shorter, more vanity URL, the URL path settings, URL alias, is where you would change any of those URLs. So sometimes titles of web pages can be quite lengthy, but you don't want to turn that into a URL. So you can go and I would stick in IT/farm. You know, if I wanted it to say that as the URL instead. So that's a good tab to know about. And then the meta tags, unless I want to replace what it has already collected, you can leave this tab alone. So let me save this. It gives me a preview of what my page is, so I added that slideshow. I've got my content down there at the bottom, and then my multi-body or accordion. So if I click this, this is the information I typed in. You can't reorganize, so you couldn't have your accordion at the top. It does force you to have that below the body of the content. So if I want to go back in and edit this page, take out some text or maybe publish it, I could go to the edit draft and edit my text. Or just to publish this page, I can go to the revisions tab, which I haven't gone to yet, but I'll show you what that tab looks like. From here, you can select published. Make sure to log in a message if there's some type of change that you did, and then you can go to update state. Okay, so look at my URL up here. This would be what the URL is. So once you created this web page, you could copy and paste this URL and reference that from there. Okay? Questions about how the URLs work? Because we're used to seeing directories. In our old site, I would see for my area /IT/training/ whatever, but there's no more compartments. It really does create the URL from the title, and you can adjust it from there if you want. Okay? All right, so Tina is going to hand out the first activity. So while she's coming and getting ready, you can open up any browser. The one that is preferred or that we've seen the least amount of bugs in is Google Chrome, which isn't installed on these. So you can select Firefox or IE, but just make sure that if you want a very stable browser, you can download that on your own personal workstation and go and use Google Chrome. The nice thing about Chrome too is you can use it on a Mac.